Hey everyone. A couple days ago at work, I finished reading this book I got, Planet of the Apes: The Fall. Let's see. I'm a big fan of Planet of the Apes. I haven't really talked about it much on the channel. I don't think I've talked about Planet of the Apes at all, have I? Yeah, I don't think I have. Well, anyway, I love Planet of the Apes. I'll go a little bit into it. I remember when I was really, really little, I got a gift card to Walmart, and I saw they had a doll of one of the gorilla soldiers from the original movies, and I just thought he was the coolest looking thing ever, so I wanted to get it. So I bought the doll, and then my grandparents saw it, and they're like, "Oh, hey, we have that movie. You want to see it?" And so we watched the first Planet of the Apes movie, and I wasn't really into it. I was a very young kid, so I couldn't really appreciate the like the subtext of the movie or the symbolism in the movie. I did like some of it. Like I liked the adventure side of things. I liked the apes makeup effects, but it wasn't really like a fun movie. I remember seeing later Escape from the Planet of the Apes on TV years later, or not that long later. It was like maybe a year or two later, and I really liked that. That was like more of a kind of fun movie, aside from the ending, which I don't remember. So maybe I didn't finish watching it or something. So anyway, then a while later we were at a yard sale, and I saw there was a Planet of the Apes tape in a box of tapes. I bought it. It was Battle for the Planet of the Apes. Kind of a weak movie. Definitely like the weakest of the original Planet of the Apes movies, but I still enjoyed it. And then my library had Conquest of the Planet of the Apes, and so I rented that, and I rented that like a million times, and eventually like I just bought a tape of it myself, and then I got DVD sets of it. I got a Blu-ray set of it. Oh, and then there was the Tim Burton movie. I remember when that came out. Let's see, I was in school, and a lot of kids were like excited to see it, which I didn't get because I didn't think it looked very good. But eventually, I did see it, and it was mm, I didn't really care for it that much when I first saw it. I really hated it because it was just not what I wanted. Then later, I watched it again, and yeah, it was okay. Definitely not my favorite, but anyway, that's the movie that this book is meant to tie in with. This book's meant to tie in with the movie. I'll get to that in a minute. Let's see. A while later came the new Planet of the Apes movies, Rise, Dawn, and War. I remember seeing trailers for Rise, and I wasn't impressed by them. For whatever reason, I just was not interested in seeing Rise. I didn't think the trailers looked good. I really hated the CGI effects. I thought they looked really bad. I still think the ones in Rise look bad. But then my library got the DVD of it, and since you can rent things free from the library, I was like, sure, I'll give it a watch. And so I watched it, and I was blown away. It was really good. Like, the CGI effects definitely don't look good. Like, even at the time, they were not stellar. But it was good. The story was pretty strong, and it held up, and, like, held it up past the bad effects. Then Dawn came out, and I bought the Blu-ray of Dawn. I didn't see it in theaters though. I kind of regret buying the Blu-ray for like full price because it wasn't that good. I didn't like Dawn that much. It was not a strong movie like Rise was, but the effects were way better. Like way way better. They improved like a ton from the first movie. So that was cool. And then came War, and I was totally going to see it in theaters, and I just didn't for whatever reason. But I bought the Blu-ray when it came out, and I really loved War for the Planet of the Apes. That was awesome. Oh, and then there's also the live-action TV show. That's awesome. Then there's a Japanese series called Time of the Apes, or Army of the Apes. Or yeah, Army of the Apes is the Japanese version, and then it was turned into a movie called Time of the Apes over here that was on Mystery Science Theater. It's not good. It was on Mystery Science Theater. The Japanese version, I've seen like bits of it. It doesn't look like anything amazing, but it definitely looks better than the American movie version. So yeah, there's my background of Planet of the Apes. I like Planet of the Apes. I've bought like books and comics and stuff for it before. I have some comics and books lying around somewhere, but I wanted to talk about The Fall because this was a really interesting book. Let me just put it right there. Hopefully it doesn't, the fall won't fall. I think it's okay. So, yeah, The Fall, it's supposed to be a tie-in prequel with the Tim Burton movie. And, it doesn't really work too well as a prequel story because a lot of the elements from the movie, like, one of the weird things with this, it really doesn't reference the movie all that much. Aside from the name of the spaceship being the Oberon, and then mentioning Leo Davidson, Mark Wahlberg's character from the movie, a couple of times, this could be its own standalone book. It didn't need to tie in with the movie. And one of the other weird things, it doesn't even need to be a Planet of the Apes book. The apes could be completely excised from this book, and the plot would not change. What I think happened here was they either had an idea for a book, or they already had part of a book written about a spaceship that crashes on some alien planet, and they're attacked by hostile alien bug creatures, and they have to work together to defeat the bug creatures. They defeat the bug creatures, and now they can begin to colonize this new world. That's the basic story. The apes are really just incidental to it. At the beginning, we start off on the spaceship. There's some debate going back and forth with the crew members about whether or not it's okay to send out apes. Like, what's the ethic, moral choice of, like, these apes? Like, are their lives worth more or less than the humans? And why is that? Because whatever. And then, let's see, they're genetically altering some of the apes to be more intelligent. So when they crash on the planet, Jonathan, a newly born genetically altered ape, let's see, oh yeah, his mother dies, and that's a weird thing. There's a side effect to genetically altering the apes to make them more intelligent, is their mothers will die in childbirth because of the genetically altered apes' larger brain size, which makes their heads bigger, so they can't give birth properly unless it's a cesarean, which apparently they can't do because, I don't know. There's some really gross, nasty stuff in this book, too. Like, it got way more gross than I expected it to, especially at the beginning. And I'm not even talking about, like, the cesarean section thing. Uh, there's a line at the beginning where when the ship crashes, there's a person going through, like, the animal labs on the ship, and there's, like, a wall or something that collapsed on these animal cages and reduced the animals to lumpy paste. Ugh. Ugh. So anyway, the people are on the planet. Oh yeah, and, the main woman, Molly, who's, or was her name Molly now? I don't remember. I think that was her name. The human characters in this aren't particularly memorable to me. I've read some reviews of this, and people seem pretty split. There's some people who love the characters. There's other people who hated the characters. I'm kind of indifferent. I didn't really find them that interesting. Anyway, I'll call her Molly. If I'm hoping that's the right name. I'll check later. Anyway, she adopts Jonathan, an ape, genetically altered ape child, excuse me, and raises him alongside her own son, David. And they show up sporadically through the book. Most of the book, they're not really there. They're not really important. It's all about Molly and the other crew members. One of the crew members, don't remember what any of their freaking names were. Uh, he goes out, he's exploring, and oh, here's a weird thing. There's a swarm of, like, connected mind, hive mind bugs or something. Anyway, he goes out, he sees this weird thing on a rock, and there's these bugs in it. And later he shoots his foot, and then he loses his memory of why he did that. And he says, a billion eyes. Something about a billion eyes. And then later it turns out that the billion eyes are the bugs. The bugs attacked him, and he shot his foot so that, because he couldn't get them off him or something. Yeah. So anyway, the bug creatures. Oh yeah, eventually they get the name the Bracks because of the weird like noise they make. The Bracks are eventually wiped out, and the weirdest thing happens. There's like a weird moral dilemma discussion about is it right to wipe out these creatures because if we do, it might upset the ecological balance. And one of the weird things is early on, uh, there's no animals on the planet. Like they say that there's no living things on the planet. Like there's birds and then nothing else. And this bug creature, because there's a bunch of paragraphs like showing what it's thinking, like it's not a nice thing. And like even if we didn't have that, I feel like the humans should have put it together that the reason there's no animals or any living things on the planet is because of the bugs. The bugs freaking kill everything. So wiping out the bugs, I don't think will upset the ecological balance any more than the bug is doing itself. So yeah, it was kind of weird that it tried to set up like a conflict with that, and it just doesn't pay off because, like, especially for the reader, because we know what the bug is thinking. The bug is a murderous psychopath. It'll just kill everything. So anyway, they wipe out the bugs, and then Jonathan and David come back. Jonathan takes David out into the woods and reveals that he started his own colony of apes. He has his own wife. They've like found a way around the mother dying in childbirth, and he's actually had a kid. And he's going to change his or Jonathan is going to change his name to Samos or Samos. I read on Wikipedia that Samos is a character mentioned in the Tim Burton movie, and I just thought that was something to note because in reviews I read of the book, people were saying that, oh, it's really interesting that the book reveals who Samos is, and if it was like just an offhand mention, like, is that really something people were wondering about? Anyway, back to the book. Um, Jonathan reveals to David that the doctor or someone from the ship had been trying to poison him or kill him because they're afraid that the apes will take over. And this is very strange because throughout the book, there really isn't any kind of conflict between the humans and the apes. The humans and the apes get along just fine. There doesn't seem to be any conflict between them. Like, throughout the book, I was wondering, like, how does this turn into Planet of the Apes? I don't know. They just tacked on a thing at the end where Jonathan's like, yeah, we're gonna rebel against the humans. Then they do. The end. Like, yeah, it's very abrupt. Like, the very last line in the book is, let's see, Jonathan or one of the apes is about to whack someone with something. They raise up their arm, and then it just cuts off, and that's the end. Yeah. So anyway, the book, it's a okay book. As a sci-fi novel, I like sci-fi, it's fine. It's nothing amazing, it's nothing groundbreaking. It doesn't really need to be, as long as it's readable. I can see, like, some people wouldn't like the human characters, because the human characters are just kind of there. They're not really that memorable. I can't even remember their names. It was only a few days ago I finished reading that, and, like, I only remembered David and Jonathan and Samos. So yeah, it's I would recommend it if you're a Planet of the Apes fan. It's a fascinating book to read, especially because so much of it doesn't seem to have anything to do with Planet of the Apes. They made up a ton of their own stuff that has nothing to do with the Tim Burton movie or any of the movies. And one of the weirdest things is this book actually had a sequel. Um, I don't remember what the name of it was, but there's a dinosaur on the cover, a T-Rex on the cover. I'm very curious to know how in the world did dinosaurs play into Planet of the Apes, especially the Tim Burton movie. Were dinosaurs a thing? Like, I haven't watched the movie in quite a while. I was planning on watching it again, like, because of this book, to see, like, just how much, like, the book does tie into the movie, if at all. I'm pretty sure it doesn't. I'm pretty sure the other one probably won't tie in very much either. But who knows? Maybe I'll be surprised. Whatever. So, yeah, that's all for this one, I guess. See ya.